Often when out with the Grey Cat ROC, the name of the game is just to find Hadanite and make the most possible profit. But given that the ferry ship also has an inventory, many of you have suggested in the video comments that actually picking up anything where there's a cluster of rocks together might be a more efficient use of time. I'm Forrester, and this video takes a timed run out with the Grey Cat ROC, with a 90-minute cap, which might be an average play session for many people. The time starts from renting at the refinery station, all the way to selling up at just under 90 minutes. To protect you from the tedium of watching elevators though, much of the footage has been sped up to 12 times speed to reduce the overall length of this video to a more digestible format. And so here we are on the refinery deck, making our way to root out the ROC. Back again, I see. So some people will choose to purchase a ROC. It's 4,300 Alpha UEC to rent and about 172,000 to buy one. I've done the maths and that works out at 40 days. You would need to use a ROC for 40 days to make it more worthwhile purchasing versus renting single day rentals. And this is where the magic of video production really helps. This feels a lot quicker watching the sped up footage than the first time that it happened. So for this we're heading to Daymar. The first step will be to load up the ROC onto the Cutlass Black, but Daymar's quite a nice place to mine. Not too hot, not too cold, quite easy to see around, and plenty of places to stop by to sell the goods when you're done. Landing complete, engines offline, run back to load up the ROC. There you have a nice shot of the ROC being reversed onto the Cutlass Black, which is the default ferry ship for me for the ROC. I don't know if it's like an old military thing about reversing vehicles on. I see a lot of people driving forwards, but reversing always feels a little more natural. Now you have the majesty of the Cutlass Black on Daymar. So ordinarily I would head all the way up to orbit and then back down somewhere away from things. What I actually did here was use the star map just to check my distance to the landing zone, and at about 150 kilometers that felt like far enough away to start scanning. As in the ROC tutorial video, just looking and keeping an eye out for these sensor anomalies that pop up at relatively short distances, 3 to 5 kilometers. Saw one of those here. It's a group of diamonds, which is a good sign, and it's a big enough group to be worth stopping to mine. Remembering here that I mentioned I tend to only go for Hadanite, I'm quite selective, and you guys quite rightly in the comments said, just, you can put it all on the Cutlass, it's fine, stop for everything, see how it goes. So that's what we're doing. Here we are back in the Grey Cat ROC. Wonderful.
Fracturing mode on. Mining mode.
Quick look around, see where did I leave those rocks? Ah, there they are. And there are a lot of rocks here, and they're all Hadanite, so genuinely this isn't fixed. You've seen the footage. It was fly straight down and found what must be a lot of Hadanite rocks here. And on a fairly responsive server as well, because these are charging fast and braking fast, which is absolutely perfect. little bit for the first one.
Extraction mode on.
Now unfortunately, because of where these rocks are sited, all the little gems are going to roll downhill a little bit as they're captured up. So it might actually be better just to let them roll downhill and then collect them all from wherever they're going to end up rolling to later. Right, there are a lot of rocks here, so I'm going to speed up the rest of the footage. You can see, same process. Charge the rock, break the rock, hoover up the glorious Hadanite goodies. There's actually something quite relaxing about watching this process sped up. This was obviously a tough rock. You see it in the sped up footage, the ones that take longer. You certainly do. I don't know about you, but I also think perhaps with the music here, as darkness comes in over Daymar, the music, the colours and the sped up, it feels quite relaxing watching some rock mining. Alright, there we have it. Hoovered up all of that Hadanite, reversing back onto the Cutlass Black. Not bad, not bad. Well, not bad, but a little bit bad, because I haven't reversed far enough. So I need to just creep a bit further back. This is the main challenge with the Cutlass Black as a ferry ship. So other ships that have more room, you kind of know what you can get in and out of. In this instance, because captured quite a bit of Hadanite there with that mining, wanted to already move that to the Cutlass Black, so you know you need access to the back of the ship. You got almost half full of Hadanite just from those rocks. Oh. So yeah, just finding the right distance to be able to still access the cargo at the back, plus being able to get in and out of the front. Slight challenge, and perhaps just out of practice. Engines online, lights on, and back to the search. This is something I quite like when you're scanning at night time and you get the real outline of the ground. Looks good. Right, so we've got a small cluster of minables here. Not as many rocks as we had in the last time, but I've not stopped to check what it is. In line with the spirit of the suggestion, it's a big enough group for me to say I'll get out the rock, break them up and store them. This is where the parking at the back has not helped me out. Thankfully, the setup of the Cutlass is such that it will give you options if you end up in this situation where you can hop out the side, hop in from the back, and then rescue yourself from your own mistakes. guess the fact that you can see these kind of struggles, I don't know, maybe that lets you know that this is an authentic experience. Take out the rock, have a quick look for those minables, and it's aphorite. That's absolutely fine. Happy with a bit of aphorite. And this is so much easier to break than the previous hadanite. Tell you what, if you've been breaking hadanite and switched to something like this, it just suddenly seems so simple and so easy. Can be a bit harder to see where you're flying in the dark, but for rock mining in the dark, I don't know, there's just something about the mix of colours and the brightness of the laser, it seems very satisfying. Set against the starry sky in the background. Maybe it's just me. You can let me know in the comments. And this group of rocks on flatter ground, so not having to chase after the extracted materials quite so much. Again, through the wonders of sped up footage, just breaking all of the rest of these rocks. Once again, with that music in the background, it just feels relaxing, almost ethereal. Wonderful. Now, as proof of the non-curated nature of some of these, this is attempting to find a way to get the back wheels to purchase on a ramp that is probably slightly too high to get up. It would have been far easier just to move the cutlass. But no, have to try. What about maximum speed? Other side? This isn't happening. Got a one wheel on. No. No, that's... In the moment, you think to yourself, oh, it'll be easy, like, just move the wheels around, it'll be fine. In hindsight, you just... I wouldn't say it's painful to watch. It's not happening. Yeah, hop out. Hop out, move the cutlass. Smart move. Nice little external view of the Cutlass Black at night time there. A little bit further, just to get that ramp a bit close to the ground. Still a bit high. There we go, that looks worth a try. So these for me are ordinary struggles. What would really help with this is a variable deploying ramp. So most of the ramps in Star Citizen are kind of fixed in as this is the ramp, it goes down, and this is how far it goes down, it's however many degrees. Obviously that works very, very well when you're on a perfectly flat calibrated surface like a landing pad, but when you're on a moon and you're not perfectly flat, sometimes you'd want the landing bay to be able to open more or less depending on the surface. But I appreciate that would be an added level of complexity. That's probably the Kerbal engineer in me wishing for that. There we go. Leave a bit more room this time. So I grabbed a few more apherite rocks there. That wasn't quite so many as the first time, so I'm comfortable just to leave that in the rock until we get to the next set of minables. You can let me know in the video comments. I've never really encountered something that fills up much more than half of a rock in one go, so I'm comfortable just to assume that I'll have plenty of room in there as the Planetary Crusader is rising in the distance. So back to scanning away, pinging away with the Cutlass Black, looking for the next set of rocks. It's interesting how this works out. So as soon as we came down to the planet's surface, we found our first group. It was a huge motherload of Hadanite. And then back to pinging away and go for minutes without seeing anything. And there's some diamonds. Not many, but we'll stop. I think at this point the monotony of pinging had got to me a bit.
Engines offline. Landing complete. Fracturing mode on. Mining mode on.
So looking again for those rocks ready to break. There they are. So this is some more apherite. Again, a fairly responsive server here, fairly easy to mine rock. Keeping it in that green zone, listening to it bubble away. Beautiful. So because these are all fairly close together, gonna just break all of them, I think, and then hoover them up afterwards. They're not on a hill, they're not rolling away, so I think this is one where time can work with us. Stay in the same mining mode, do everything you need to do, then switch and do everything else. One of the reasons you would not do that is if you are nervous about the rocks exploding, because clearly if one of these rocks exploded with gems everywhere, then there would be gems everywhere. It would scatter them all over the place. You want them nice and neat and close together where possible. This is another one where that lighting really looks good, I think. Everything is dark except the little glow of the headlamps up front, and then the heavy piercing glow of that mining laser and the sparks and the bubbling impact on the rocks. Looks good. This feels like an optimum rock mining experience. It's a small group of rocks close together, easy to break, very little server lag. Like the poster child for rock mining.
Extraction mode on.
And then extract. Easy. It's like the dream of rock mining, of a few easy breaks, scoop it up, carry on. Wonderful. And I think that's okay, by the way, if you're out mining, whether it's in a rock or a prospect or a mole, and you're just struggling to find something. I think sometimes stopping for something that might not be, or might not on the face of it be the most efficient use of your time, can sometimes really help to break it up and help with you having fun. Ultimately, we're not doing these things as a... well, most of us aren't doing these things as a job. We're doing it to have fun. Incidentally, while we're on this screen, I'm not a huge fan of the blue UI on the Grey Cat Rock now. I used to think it used to be much, much better when it was, frankly, clearer. I mean the MFDs rather than the UI, I should probably say. Not that you need to use them very often in the Grey Cat, I suppose that might be why. Blend a little bit more seamlessly into the background, but there we have it. Fully mined those rocks. Beautiful. Reverse back onto the Cutlass Black. Ready to search for more treasure. Again, trying to find a good parking spot that lets me get through into the back to move the materials, but also hopefully get out and get around the ship. With tactical jumping involved. Come on, we can make this. No? Ugh. It's close. It's close, but back in. Reverse it back. Some of the other ships don't quite have this problem, at least to the same degree, so other popular choices might be the Valkyrie, for example. A few people use a Valkyrie. Obviously a bigger space means that you don't have this challenge, but for me the appeal of the Cutlass Black is it's cheap. And also rentable for people who perhaps don't own a ferry ship for their rock. So just moving those minables into the inventory of the Cutlass Black, so the rock is empty, ready for the next load. Again, might be helpful if we find a big selection of rocks.
Engines online. Launch complete.
And then back into the search again. Handily heading pretty much in the direction of Crusader there. When you're out and about, it can really help to have landmarks to head towards so that you know you're not covering the same ground again and again. The challenge is that often when you're on a rotating celestial body, landmarks move as the planet rotates, in theory as they orbit, so it's not as simple and straightforward as just always flying towards it. But equally, some landmarks are more directional, so the sun is quite a good one in the daytime to follow the sun because it's always going to be in pretty much the same direction in the sky. And I think the idea behind that is just that you're not covering the same ground again and again, so every time you're scanning to identify something new. Previously undiscovered. Speaking of which, got something here at 500 meters. Worth checking out. Get a bit closer, try and encourage them to spawn in. just a single rock. Move on. Single, lonely breakable. But another promising finding at less than 3,000 meters. That's kind of, for me, the sweet spot to say that's probably a mineable. Turn and investigate. There we have, that looks promising. It's gems. We're getting close to the 90 minutes that was the goal, so we'll stop, we'll mine this up, and then we'll go and sell up.
Landing gear down. Engines offline.
Oh, much easier coming the other way. Just a quick jump and you're out. Here we go, back into the rock. Find those minables.
Fracturing mode
There they are.
mining mode on.
And what do you know? It's a bit more Hadanite. So this hasn't been an exclusive Hadanite mining session, but actually it's been alright for just picking up and finding Hadanite in the course of things, so I guess I kind of expected going in that mostly I will be filled up with, I don't know, Aphorite, and there might be a little bit of Hadanite in there. Actually, across the 4 little patches that we've gone for, 2 of them were Hadanite, and actually the largest patch that we found, the first thing we found, was a big group of Hadanite, so that seems okay. Just speed up the mining of the rest of these rocks. This looks like 6 different Hadanite rocks, so a pretty reasonable haul. Extraction mode, hoover them up. Tell you what, that looks slick in high speed, doesn't it? Oh, is that a 7th rock? Might be. Now, in this instance, because we're close to the 90-minute mark, just going to load up forwards because I know that we'll be storing the cutlass and saving the rest for later. Once again, still not got the distances right. I suppose with it being further forward, I can drive forward rather than reverse and try and figure out where I should be. Offset it a little bit, see if that helps. There we go, much more room at the back. So we have pretty much 80 CSCU, a full rock's worth of stuff there, just in the inventory of the cutlass itself, so we'll head back to sell up.
Engines online.
There's a good chunk of that that's Hadanite, and then there's a good chunk of that that's Aphorite. So I think there's about 55 CSCUs of Hadanite and, what was it, 280 of Aphorite? That's there or thereabouts. There we are, AC141, head back. So we were 198 kilometers away. That for me feels like kind of safe distance that you're unlikely to be anywhere near somebody that's heading in or out of the outpost, and that was just from flying straight up and straight down again. Now, of course, since we were here earlier to pick up the Grey Cat Rock, it's now dark, so we'll get a nice little dark landing. I guess my top tip for this is where you've been quantum travelling in, can help just to keep that quantum travel system online, just to give you a nice little marker for where you're heading. Especially useful, I think, in the dark. Try and find a good balance between speed and staying under control. Now, what often happens with these places now with semi-persistence is that players will leave ships at the outpost. So in this instance I can see that there's actually a ship down there. It's the Gladius that was there earlier on the landing pad. And so that's kind of my beacon now for coming in and landing.
Landing gear down.
I think there's room on the pad there for two. So we'll try and just come in and land a little behind, a little next to that Gladius if we can.
Landing complete. Engines offline.
Then we'll see what this mining experience was worth. Rather than trying to navigate around the Grey Cat, I'm just going to hop out the side. It feels easier, feels quicker. So the whole session was 90 minutes. The actual mining of that was probably nearer to an hour. So you can see if you were actually out... If you were out for longer, then you can imagine it'd be much more profitable, because suddenly that loading up time, that travel time, etc., not so much. So 41k worth of Aphorite, 155k of Hadanite, or about 200k. So that's pretty good going. So 200,000 credits for about an hour's worth of mining. Not bad going. Thank you to all of you who left a comment to suggest that I try being less picky with my rock minables. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, in which case you might press that like button, and if you've got this far and you're not yet subscribed, you might like to do that too, just to give YouTube the nudge to show you more videos like this in the future. Otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.